All right. How many of you think the next generation is lost? I'm going to prove to you that it's not. I got a couple of young men here. I had the pleasure of meeting them a couple months ago. They actually stood with me as we spoke before the Spokane City Council as they were trying to destroy the Church of Planned Parenthood with a noise ordinance. And these two young men, they stood up and they spoke so eloquently, I knew for a fact that they weren't in public school. So I've got Micah and Hunter Beatty here. This is a little bit off script, but we're going to bring them in and we're going to let them talk for a little bit. I think you're going to be extremely impressed with these two young men. Look at this suit here. Is this not great? I would actually steal that from you, but I think Antifa would call that a hate crime. I don't know.
Hello, my name is Micah, and I was adopted at age 3 from Ethiopia. First, I'd like to make it clear that I'm proud of my African heritage and just as proud to be a U.S. citizen. Today, I will shed light on the truth behind the deceptions of the Black Lives Matter movement. First, I'd like to explain what makes America so unique. Freedom. Freedom is the greatest privilege of every American. Today, we still need to fight for this freedom, because it only takes one generation of slothfulness for this liberty to be stripped from us. Throughout a whole nation, specific people groups have had to fight for their right to be respected in America. First, it was poor whites. Then it was Africans. Then it was women. Then it was Native Americans. And now it is Christians. A smart thing to remember is that there's a right and wrong way to protest. What groups such as Black Lives Matter are doing is not strengthening their cause, but only promoting dissension, fear, anarchy, and destruction. By trying to bring about progressive change, they are just promoting more hate. What else has Black Lives Matter movement accomplished? Well, they've encouraged us to defund and even disband our police in some cities. Will this really bring down the rate of crime or violence? All this will do will leave criminals to do as they please with no fear of retribution from the law. Policemen are necessary for the security of a country's citizen. All that Black Lives Matter is accomplishing is they're widening the gap between two racial groups. They also are encouraging us to distrust our men and women in blue. This goes against everything I was taught. I would encourage you, if you see a police officer, you should approach him or her and thank them for the sacrifice they make each day. Each day when an officer puts on their badge, they're risking their lives for you and I. If we really want to make America great, we have to do it together. Black Lives Matter protests are not just destroying white businesses, but black businesses also. A black man in Detroit finally accomplished his dream of owning his own business. And thanks to a Black Lives Matter rally, it was stripped from him. As we protest for our rights, we should be God-honoring in how we fight for them. A wise man recently commented, if Black Lives Matter protests are really looting businesses on behalf of Black lives, they should turn their attention to Planned Parenthood. This evil corporation kills millions of black babies every single year. Right now, we are worried about black lives killed by policemen. Are we caring about the black lives killed by Planned Parenthood or by suicide? Another misguided fact that the public draws from incidences such as George Floyd's death is that all policemen are bad. This type of stereotyping is short-sighted and hate-based. There are good teachers and bad teachers. There are good politicians and bad politicians, just as there are good and bad cops. Another disturbing and tragic issue that is relevant today is that we are trying to erase the past. There are a number of Civil War monuments that are being torn down because they remind us of an ugly past. Trying to forget the past will only encourage us to repeat the same mistakes. Slavery was a stain upon this country's history, and that is why we do not condone it today. Robert E. Lee did not even support slavery, and he was a Christian man of virtue. And we are trying to take down his statue. Overall, as a Christian African-American black teenager, I believe all lives matter. Galatians 3:28 is a perfect example of why we're encouraged to treat each other equally. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither slave nor free. There is neither male nor female, for you are all one in Christ. We are all made in the image of God, and because of that, we are all worth very much to Him. Thank you for letting me speak.
Well, my name is Micah Beatty, as Caleb announced earlier. And C.S. Lewis, the author of the Chronicles of Narnia, defined courage extremely well when he said that courage is not simply one of the virtues, but the form of every character at the testing point. What exactly does that mean now? Well, to me, it means this. When our faith is tested, what happens? When our character is tested, what happens? When our right to freedom is tested or attacked, what happens? Well, when our founding fathers' right to freedom was attacked and tested, they fought for it because they realized something that our nation used to realize but no longer does. That where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. It took courage for them to stand for what they knew was right. And sadly, our country has lost that ability. Well, actually, we may have that ability, but we have just forgotten how to do it because we are so caught up in pleasing person A, B, or C. Whereas when this nation was founded, at the end of the day, you answered to one person alone, and that person was the Lord Jesus Christ. Ultimately, I believe true courage comes down to three things: being willing to stand alone for what is right, yielding your fears and the results of your actions to God. Now, we may not know what tomorrow will bring, but we do know this for sure, that little by little, our rights are being played with by the government like the game of Jenga. The game where you push and prod at which block will come out the easiest. But instead, it's let's take this right here. Let's poke at this liberty here, and pretty soon what happens? The whole tower will fall down. Complacency is going to be death of our nation and the death of our rights as well. Harriet Tubman said this: there's two things I got a right to, and those two things are death and liberty. I mean to get me one or the other. I'll fight for my liberty, but I ain't gonna stop until I've given every ounce of strength to get my liberty. You see, she was not complacent, but trusted God and fought for what was right at the same time. Now, Ronald Reagan put it best when he said this: freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. No, it must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Let me point something out. Complacency, fighting, and protection don't work well together. And let's understand something else that President Lincoln said. A house, or a nation in this case, divided against itself cannot stand. And if we cannot stand, how are we supposed to fight for our rights and our liberties? Right now our country is divided into two groups: black and white and left and right. It shouldn't be about black skin or white skin. It shouldn't be about Democrat or Republican. It should be about morally right and morally wrong. Now some may not like that statement, but for the record, I love the Lord, love the Second Amendment and our Constitution as a whole. Love our founding fathers, love this country, and have 3 adopted siblings from Africa. And I believe that all lives do matter. Our Declaration states it. All men are created equal and have certain unalienable rights that they are endowed by their Creator with. Not red or yellow or white or black men, but all men. So why don't we say that all lives matter? Now let me end with this. Our founding fathers didn't go through what they did back then just so we could fail now. We must continue to stand firm in the faith. We must put God in America again. We must continue to fight for all of our liberties, not just some of them. And we must demonstrate true courage like others did by standing for what is right, putting our fears aside, and leaving the results to the Lord Jesus Christ. Thank you all.